Kawasaki just...
And be in a position to be the first British fighter to win 3. Here's Dennis along with his manager and trainer, Emmanuel Stewart.
You know, now that I'm ready for him, because I'm not going into this fight blind this time. I know who he is. I know his strength. I know everything about him now. So there's no way for him, not this time. And I mean that.
And I think he has to put a lot more pressure on Harding in this fight, because I'm preparing for Harding to try to assume the role of being a boxer more so in this bout coming up than in the last fight. And as a result, I think that Andries is going to have to apply a lot more pressure to take him out of his schedule or fight plan and to make him come down to the level where it'll be a much more physical fight, because Andries is prepared more physically for this fight, I think, than Harding is.
I just want to beat this guy bad. I want him one.
Alongside, as always, Alex Wallow. And Alex, you and I were there last year. So much has been said about last year's fight. But nonetheless, when you talk about these two fighters, we've got 2 great stories.
That's right, Dan. Jeff Harding is the world champion, making his 3rd title defense, but he is also still just a raw 24-year-old kid with only 17 pro fights. He was able to win a title before he really knew how to fight, because his heart and his chin and his incredible resiliency overcame his lack of defense. But in his preparation for this fight, he's been working very hard on movement to try to avoid the Andries power. Jeff knows that unless he develops some defensive skills, his reign as champion will be spectacular, but very, very brief. As for the former champion Dennis Andries at age 36, and some say much older, it is hard to believe that he will get better for this fight, but Dennis appears very confident that he is better prepared, primarily because he has had the full-time attention of Emmanuel Stewart throughout his training, and because Dennis says he made the weight properly this time, without the 2-day starvation that he claims depleted his strength in the first fight. So because of their lack of technical skill, this fight won't be pretty, but Dan, because of their aggressive styles and their tremendous hearts, it should be very exciting.
Let's take a look at the numbers for this fight, the tail of the tape. Dennis Andries, clearly the biggest difference between the two is in age, where Andries is 11 years older than Jeff Harding. 36-25. WBC rules are in effect today, the 10-point must system. There is no standing 8, no 3 knockdown rule, and a fighter can only be saved by the bell in the final round. And only the referee can stop the fight, and the referee for today's bout is Arthur Mercanti, the 70-year-old ring veteran, one of the great referees of all time. The seconds are being cleared. We are ready to go for the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. Jose Juan Guerra, Chuck Giampa, and Tom Kazmarek are 3 scoring judges. Everything's in order, and away we go. Dennis Andries, the challenger, wearing the gold trunks. Clearly you can see Andries across the front. Jeff Harding wearing all black. And Alex, we can only hope.
Yeah, the odds makers don't think it will be as competitive, Dan. They've made Jeff Harding a 2-to-1 favorite, better than 2-to-1, primarily because of the site. Boxers traditionally have a terrible time performing at their peak after the long trip to Australia.
As Alex mentioned, the last fight was dominated early by Dennis Andries.
You see there, Jeff Harding trying to move to his right, away from the Andries right hand that gave him so much trouble, especially in the early rounds of the first fight.
Jeff Harding has always been a fighter willing to take 2 to give 1. There you saw right hand from Dennis Andries. That last left really hit the gloves, but still had enough on it to move Harding back.
He has been willing to trade the pass, Dan. I think Jeff recognizes that when he steps up to...
There's a good solid right hand. He hit the glove, but still knocked Harding's glove back into his face with enough force to snap his head back.
I was just saying, I think Jeff realizes that when he steps up and tries to go for one of those unification fights, he cannot be so willing to absorb punishment.
And it is a grim and determined Dennis Andries here in round number 1. Halfway through the first round.
Jeff Harding knows that he can't depend upon lightning striking twice. He cannot allow Dennis Andries to get off to that kind of a lead again. Then the right hand.
Neither fighter had much trouble making the 175-pound weight. Andries, in a real change of pace, came in at 174 1/4, and as Alex mentioned, he had difficulty making weight a year ago and blamed that on his performance.
Both fighters doing a little bit better defensive work. Harding is blocking some punches with something other than his chin.
Jeff Harding told us yesterday he even planned on flipping punches, something he's been working on, and that would be a revelation. Good double jab by Andries, followed by a solid right to the ribs.
So despite what Jeff Harding said about knowing he had to get off to a faster start, Dennis Andries has set the pace here in the opening round.
The majority of the good punches in this round have been landed by Andries.
He's been getting off first. Jeff Harding has been waiting a little bit too much.
The Australian crowd is as quiet as their fighter's been here in round number 1. Here we go in the second round. Well, and again, it's Dennis Andries that comes out swinging
and loading up more this round.
Well, you heard Emmanuel Stewart between rounds 1 and 2 telling Dennis Andries, stop throwing the right hand to the body. I want you to keep throwing the right hand, but I want it to go to the chin, not to the ribs.
And that's very unusual for...
Oh, and there is that right hand that goes over the top and lands.
Very unusual for a trainer to tell his man to not work the body. Generally, they try to get him away from head hunting. Here, Emmanuel wants his man to go after the head.
Very reminiscent of the start of the last fight. It has been Dennis Andries exacting a toll on Jeff Harding.
He has not yet cut Jeff Harding, and that's going to be an interesting thing to watch, Dan. This fight was originally scheduled for June 2nd. It was postponed because a cut that Jeff suffered in his last defense in March reopened in May, and it was postponed until today.
I was going to say, you say that like a guy that doesn't have a lot of confidence. We're not even 4 minutes into the fight, and...
Well, remember, he was cut about 30 seconds into the first fight.
He opens up easily.
He opened up everywhere in that first fight. Over both eyes, broken nose.
Bleeding from the mouth.
He has not yet even begun to find his rhythm.
Well, he hasn't let his hands go at all.
And that may be because he's concentrating on learning new things. It's always tough, you know, to learn things in the gym. Again, the Andries right hand gets home, Dan. Jeff Harding is a key. You can just see him thinking in there about the things he's been learning from his new trainer in terms of movement and defense.
Maybe Jeff Harding thinks because he's the younger man, the longer this fight goes on, the more it suits me. But still, it's a strategy that's based upon taking a lot of punishment if that's intentional.
Good jab by both men there.
And again, Jeff Harding, though, with the left hand a little low, pays for it by letting an Andries right come over the top.
Crowd excited by a little bit of Harding work, but a lot of those were slaps.
Again, the right hand from Andries. Now Harding is doing a good job most of the time of keeping both gloves up alongside his face. A lot of Dennis Andries' jabs are catching gloves.
There's a little bit of movement from Jeff Harding. He tried to throw a punch with it and missed badly. The fighter trying new things.
Still, I think Jeff Harding's opinion of Dennis Andries in this fight all boils down to his one statement. He's a year older and I'm a year better. We've got 10 rounds to find out if that's true. Before the end of the break, anxious to get the third round underway. We are here in Melbourne, Australia at the National Tennis Center. I'm Dan Deerdorf along with Alex Swallow, and we're here for the WBC light heavyweight title fight. The title that's held by Jeff Harding, the Australian, formerly held by Dennis Andries, the challenger there on your left. And Alex, the first two rounds clearly belonged to Dennis Andries.
Yeah, I thought the second was a little bit closer, but still gave it to Andries. You see Harding trying to move to his right occasionally, Dan, to stay away from the Andries right hand. It is not something that's natural for a right-handed fighter to do, and he looks very awkward trying to do it.
There is Emmanuel Stewart, the head honcho of the Crown Gym. He spent 3 solid weeks here with Dennis Andries and blames Andries' last defeat on the fact that he didn't arrive until the night before the fight in Atlantic City. Says I let him down. They've been here in Melbourne for 2 weeks, where Dennis has even wowed the locals, Alex, by even talking about moving here to Australia.
He was tongue in cheek. They didn't know it, yeah. Many fewer good, solid scoring punches here than in the first fight, Dan. Much more missing.
Jeff Harding, Alex, just hasn't learned to throw a lot of his punches with leverage. There's a right hand that lands, but still it was basically an arm punch.
Yeah, he's a straight-up kid who does not get leverage except with the left hook to the body, and I'm really surprised that so far he has really neglected the Oh, he's hurt.
A good left hand by Dennis Andries, and you can see it wobbled the legs of Harding.
And it didn't seem to be that clean a punch, Dan.
It landed right on the forehead, though. And you could see Harding rocked back and then decided to try to come in, and his legs almost gave way. We're in the 3rd round here in Melbourne. About 45 seconds left.
The Andries corner yelling at him to keep throwing the right hand.
And Jeff Harding looks stiff, Alex. Oh, and another good right hand from Dennis Andries. Another right hand.
And now you're going to see, I think, Jeff Harding reverse the form. I think all that stuff he just learned about movement and defense, he's just going to have to go out and throw punches.
Again, I think back to the last fight and how we kept saying how Dennis Andries has to reach a point in the fight where he says, what do I have to hit this guy with to take him out? Again, Dennis Andries lands lots of solid blows on Jeff Harding, and Harding is still around. We're at the end of the 3rd.
This is the punch. Watch the left hand. There it was on the temple, as you said, Dan.
Now we are back in the 4th round. Action just underway. At the end of the 3rd, a slight cut opened up underneath the left eye of Jeff Harding. Did not bleed profusely, but it's something to keep a close look on here as we move through the 4th. Dennis Andries again comes over with that big right hand.
That one just missed.
Crowd reacts to just about anything Harding's going to do. Alex, you made a comment to me. Looks like Harding's going to revert back to form.
Yeah, I mean, the other way wasn't working for him. He just looked very stiff and passive. Yeah, I think he's just got to concentrate on letting his hands go.
There's a couple scoring jabs by Jeff Harding. You can see there is blood around the left eye, and there's a good right hand by Dennis Andries that lands right on that left eye of Harding. Jeff Harding scoring with that jab. I don't think he's doing a lot of punishment with it, but he's scoring.
He's disrupting Dennis Andries. He's backing him up. He's making him reset his own offense.
Well, for the first time, Dennis Andries is fighting someone who's throwing some punches back.
There's one way to make him stop throwing the jab. Wing a right hand right over the top of it.
Clearly, Dennis Andries is looking to win this fight by loading up with a big right hand. In his weapon of choice so far. Again, he rocks back, lands another uppercut, and Jeff Harding is eating Dennis Andries' right hand with regularity.
And he had a very, very steady diet of him in the first fight, especially in the early rounds, and he just hasn't solved the problem. We must say that Andries has not gotten home the volume nor the quality of right hands that he did in the first fight. And the punch that got Harding a little bit of trouble was the left hook.
But one thing is familiar, and that's that both of these guys spend the majority of their time in the center of the ring.
And right in front of each other.
Yeah. The longer this fight goes on, I think we'll see less and less footwork.
Again, the Harding jab backing Andries up.
The best round of the fight for Jeff Harding. We're at the end of 4.
14.
The crowd begins to come alive here at the National Tennis Center in Melbourne. They saw a 4th round where their man Jeff Harding exhibited some life.
And again, the Harding jab, starting to dictate the pace a little bit. Dennis Andries is still getting home some right hand, but the use of the jab has really gotten Jeff back into this fight.
But still, if you were to count the really good shots that have landed in this fight so far, the vast majority have been landed by Dennis Andries. We are in round number 5, scheduled for 12 for the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship.
The man in the inset there is Michael Moore, who's traveled down here with his stablemate Dennis Andries. He is the World Boxing Organization WBO Light Heavyweight Champion. Rooting here for his stablemate to win the WBC Light Heavyweight Champion.
And really, with his presence, Alex, he makes the light heavyweight division one of the most talented divisions in all of boxing.
Yeah, one of the most interesting and most exciting. He is just a vicious puncher.
You know, Virgil Hill and Prince Charles Williams, these two in the ring right now. Bobby Chez, you know, we saw an Andrew Maynard stumble last month. Again, Jeff Harding scores with a couple uppercuts. But again, they were scoring punches, I don't think very damaging. There's a good left, and again, the jab of Jeff Harding disrupting Andries. Again, blood around the left eye of Harding. He is streaked along the side of his head. Dennis Andries moving backwards more and more.
I mean, we have him ahead in this fight. I have him ahead in this fight, Dan, but we must say that despite his statements, Dennis does not look better than he did in the first fight so far.
Big right hand just tickled the chin of Harding. And again, it's age, Alex. He tired badly in the last fight. He is a year older. How old he is, I'm not quite sure, but a year older for sure. Oh, and a good right hand by Andries. Again, Harding a little lax and letting the left get low.
I'm just amazed. Oh, another one. He loaded that one up. I'm amazed Harding has ignored the body.
There's a good right counter by Jeff Harding.
Jeff Harding, except for a few punches at the end of round 4, has ignored the body work that got him so much done in the first fight.
And the bell sounds for the beginning of the 6th round here at the National Tennis Center in Melbourne, Australia. Dan Deerdorf and Alex Swallow are ringside. Hope you're enjoying this one for the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship, held by the man on the left, formerly held by the man on the right. Who lost it? To the man who's not on the right. One of the great fights of 1989. Jeff Harding won the championship with a 12th round TKO of Dennis Andries. Andries trying to return the favor. Again, off to a strong start. But the last 2 rounds, the momentum seems to be switching in favor of the Australian.
Yeah, the resiliency in Dennis Andries is just not there right now. Harding is doing some work, and it's having more effect on Dennis than his history as a fighter would indicate. And that just has to be age. I mean, he has to be a guy who at age 36, and as we said, some say is as old as in his 40s. It's just not there. You know, he still has that big right hand, and he has been landing it in isolated. I mean, even in that last round, which I gave to Harding, Dennis scored 2 very, very big right hands, and he's still capable of getting Harding in trouble with it. But he just has not been as active as he was in the first fight or earlier in this fight.
We'd like to remind our local ABC stations that at the end of this round, we will be taking a station break. There's a right Uppercut by Dennis Andries. Those punches by Harding, rather, landed on gloves.
Yeah, but they weren't real big punches, and yet they backed Dennis all the way over onto the ropes. It's just the power and the strength is there in moments like that right hand, but it's just not there for the 3 minutes of the round.
With the right hand, he landed 2 of them within 5 seconds, and they're good scoring punches, but they really don't seem to have any effect on Jeff Harding. I mean, in that respect, this is so much like the first fight. Andries landed punch after punch, and Jeff Harding just was unfazed. Bloodied, but if you looked at the rest of him, the way he threw punches, the way he moved, it didn't seem to have a great effect.
Again, Jeff Harding using the jab to good effect, but not using any body punches. It seems like the emphasis on the left jab has just gotten away from that left hook to the body that was his most effective weapon in the first fight. That really did all the damage in wearing Dennis Andries down to the knockout late in the fight.
Well, if this fight goes the distance, at the end of this round, we'll be halfway home. ABC's Wide World of Sports, featuring the WBC World Light Heavyweight Championship, will continue after this word from your local ABC station. As usual, they meet in the middle here at the beginning of the 7th round. And Alex, between rounds, you made a good observation about the way Dennis Andries closed the 6th.
Well, I thought he stole the 6th with some hard shots.
Look at him come out here in the 7th. Dennis Andries pummeling Jeff Harding. And Harding a little lax in blocking some of those blows. Again, another right hand gets between the gloves. Uppercuts are scoring.
And this has to shock Jeff Harding because, I mean, I think he just thought he was getting on top. And the Dennis Andries is winding down, and here he comes out like a ball of fire to start the second half of the fight.
Boy, but this is a strategy that could backfire on Andries if he doesn't take Harding out. You wonder what this is going to do to his stamina, not only for the balance of this round, but for the balance of the fight. And you can already see the blows from Dennis Andries growing and becoming more and more like arm punches.
He's punched himself out a little bit here, understandably. Oh, that left again, the left hurts Harding.
And
again, it didn't look like that with the left hand, Dan.
It didn't, but clearly you can see Harding's legs went stiff. Jeff Harding appeared to be staggered by that Andries shot. But I don't know how much Andries has left to give here in the 7th. Both fighters at this point looking tired. And you saw Dennis Andries miss with a right and just kind of stagger after it.
Dennis is exhausted, but Jeff just doesn't have anything to put on him right now.
Still a little over a minute left in this round. Oh, and there is a knockdown. A big, wild right hand catches Jeff Harding, who's still on the mat.
His left eye is cut. It's now streaming blood.
Jeff Harding didn't get up. Jeff Harding didn't get up. Acting like he was in control. Waited too long to get up. And a knockout for Dennis Andries here in the 7th round. And talk about a shocked crowd in Melbourne.
And all that resiliency and all that determination that Jeff Harding had to win the title just was not there in his title defense here, his 3rd title defense.
Jeff Harding went down on the canvas right in front of us, gave us the impression that he was fine, was taking a breather before he got up, and then just took his sweet old time, Alex, and got caught.
Dan, I thought that his gloves cleared the canvas, but then he went right back down, and Arthur McCanny correctly continued the count.
Oh, there's no doubt Jeff Harding did not get up. Let's go back, if we can, and take a look at the knockdown and then listen in, and we'll hear the count of Arthur McCanny.
You're right.
Oh, and there is a knockdown. A big, wild right hand catches Jeff Harding, who's still on the mat.
His left eye is cut. It's now streaming blood.
10. That's all.
And you saw,
And you can-
absolutely no protest from Jeff Harding.
No.
I mean, he was a
strange.
thoroughly beaten fighter.
Very strange by Jeff Harding. Dennis Andries is the first British fighter to win a title 3 times as he upsets Jeff Harding here in Melbourne. We'll be back with some interviews with both fighters here on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Dennis, congratulations to you. For the 3rd time a world champion, what was the difference in this fight?
Condition, ready to take what he can give and give it back so he can feel hurt, feel pain. This guy never really feel real pain like how I did.
It looked to us, Dennis, like you came out, won the first 3 rounds, and then he seemed to come on a little bit. Used the jab to good effect, seemed to be backing you up. You seemed to be weakening.
No, I was timing him because I fight good going back and forward, so I had to mix it, go forward, go back, go forward, go back. Some fighters wasn't built with a reverse gear like Jeff Harding. He don't know how to reverse. He could learn to go find a reverse gear, he could get good. Go forward and back, you know.
Dennis, you came out and you seemed to be throwing punches in that final round as though you felt you needed or could knock him out at that point. Was that your feeling going into that round?
Yeah. Well, my trainer told me, you're losing it again, boy. Get going, step it up.
Let's talk to your trainer.
To the chest, throw it to the chin. Don't go over the top.
Congratulations to you also, Emmanuel. This is a fighter of unusual discipline and determination.
There was a lot of determination. We figured that studying both styles, as I told you earlier, I know that both guys were going to get hit a lot because neither one of them are the most classic fighter, but we were going to be prepared for a more physical fight this time than he was. And as it turned out, that's what it turned out to be. I felt that Dennis could have won 6 more rounds easy at that pace because that's what we had worked on. I didn't think anyone was going to outbox the other guy in this fight. And as it turned out, it was a war, but we were better prepared. In the last round, we told him to try to shorten up the right hand a little bit more. It was going over top of his head. And the only way that Harding was avoiding the punch was simply by just going underneath. He never, went back. So when he shortened up the punch and he came a little bit lower, it started catching him, and it was just a matter of time. And I thought McKinney had a good opportunity if he wanted to even stop it earlier. So
thanks, Emmanuel. One quick thing, Dennis, before we go. You've won the title 3 times. Now you got to learn how to defend it.
That's no problem. Let them all come and try and take it off me. I like to fight Virgil for $3 million. Do you hear that, Virgil? I want to fight with $3 million.
Thanks and congratulations.
Okay, Alex, let's go ahead and take a look, if we could, at the end of the fight here in the 7th round. There's a big overhand right by Dennis Andries, and that's the blow that did a lot of damage. It sends Jeff Harding back into the ropes. And again, another right connects, and there's the right that puts Harding down. But interestingly, watch Jeff Harding look over to his corner right here and kind of say, I'm okay, no big deal. And then very nonchalantly gets up to his haunches and does not beat the count. And Arthur McCanny, rightly so, says that is the end of the fight. And here's the reaction from the new WBC light heavyweight champion, Dennis Andries, a little acrobatics. And right now, Alex Wallow is over in the locker room of the defeated former champion.
Jeff, what happened to you?
I think I just froze, and Dennis just got the better of my situation and capitalized on it.
Why do you think you froze in this situation before your hometown fans?
Well, I don't think it's got... basically, the bottom line is I fight for myself, I fight for the crowd, but, I can understand what you're saying. Just one of those things, I can't explain it, but, I'll be back, and that's the main thing.
It seemed at the end, Jeff, at the stoppage of the fight, that you could have gotten up, you could have beaten the count, you were totally conscious, you nodded to your corner, and you didn't. What happened there?
I don't know. I think I was in two worlds, basically. I'm just recollecting my thoughts now and just thinking, why it was. But obviously, that's just boxing. And, Dennis was the better man on the day. And, he's a great warrior, and he's proved that in the past, and he proved it tonight.
Let me ask you one tactical question. You won the first fight basically with body punching. You used very, very little body punching in this fight. Why was that?
Yeah, basically I should emphasise more on the body attack. My game plan was probably two to the head mostly. I think I should have just got my act together and, like you said, attack to the body and just use the strategy that I used last time. But I'll live to fight again.
Where do you go from here in your mind?
Well, I'll just get my thoughts together and let things happen for me. Obviously, it's a bitter taste in my mouth. Defeat is obviously it's the worst thing to experience. But champions come back, and I really believe that I am a great champion.
Thanks very much for talking to us.
A kiss?